Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
Do you still believe it impossible we exist? You didn't actually think you were the only inhabited planet on the universe. How can any race be so stupid?
This is episode 107, recorded August 22nd, 2021.
Gruesome magazine.
Was that enough discuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here we go again. I am your host, Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly horror films, released since the beginning of time through 1969. And each episode, we'll discuss the monsters, spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history. Decades of Horror, the classic era, is partnering with the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel. So you can get our podcast on the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel. You can subscribe to that. It's available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, online websites, across all OTT platforms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, oh, by the way, a really great version of this is on Sci-Fi Movie Channel of the movie we're going to do today. It's very clear and very high resolution. Anyway, with me this week are my incredible co-hosts. First up, Whitney Collazo, an accomplished artist, makeup artist, and writer. How are you, Whitney?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Also with us is Chad Hunt, co-host on Decades for the 1970s and the 1980s. Comic book artist and writer. Chad, how are you today?
Well, I'm not really here.
You're in the future?
Yes, where we'll all be one day.
And the things that happen now in the future will affect us in the future, right?
The logic is indisputable.
It is. Also with us is Daphne. Awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. How are you doing, Daphne?
I'm doing real good. It's really great to see you guys.
Yeah, it's
Likewise.
great to see you all too. Joseph Perry couldn't be with us today, but we hope to have him back soon. The trials and tribulations of the first day of school approaching for him. All right, on this podcast, we're going to give a few basic details of the movie, our first impressions, and then,
Off to the races.
Off the rails, off the race, off to the race. Yeah, that probably sounds better. So our movie today is Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's a little unclear when this released, but IMDb says 1957, and that's, I think, when the premiere. Written and directed by Edward Wood Jr. Cast includes Gregory Walcott, Mona McKinnon, Duke Moore, Tor Johnson, Dudley Manlove, Joanna Lee. I'm sure you could have it. There's a process for that.
I'm gonna go through the process. I have to have that guy's name.
Chad Manlove.
Dudley Manlove.
I like it.
Yes.
Joanna Lee, Tom Keane, Lyle Talbot, Mila Nurmi,
Yep.
John Breckenridge, Bela Lugosi, and Criswell. Production company. Yes. The production company is Reynolds Pictures. Filmed in California at a variety of locations: Silmer, West Hollywood, San Fernando. Filming dates were August 11th to September 5th, 1956. Release date, March 15th, 1957, where a preview was shown at the Carlton Theater in Los Angeles, and the general release date was July 22nd, 1959. The budget was an estimated $60,000. And the synopsis, evil aliens attack Earth and set their terrible Plan 9 into action. As the aliens resurrect the dead of the Earth, the lives of the living are in danger.
Well, I wonder what the other 8 plans were that they had.
I don't know, but
how successful those were. But well, all right, let's go with 9. Are you sure we still want to attack Earth? We're on Plan 9 already, and nothing's working.
Yeah, they didn't even do the old, Plan A, Plan B thing. So this is the poster that's we most commonly see. And I'll be honest, I have no idea if it's original or if it comes from back then or what. But this movie, searching this had by far the most images for posters and box art of any movie we've done, I think. So I'm just going to kind of flip through some of them. I believe this is a VHS box art, just from the shape and the sticker. I tried to read the sticker, but I didn't see VHS out there anywhere.
$9.99 for this movie?
Edward, Plan 9 from Outer Space with Tor and Vampira. Aliens resurrecting the dead. Okay, so the top one in this image is from the soundcast, or the what's the word I want?
Soundtrack. From
the soundtrack. Up in the top it says for the soundtrack recording, and so I don't know if this is a like an album sleeve art or what that is, but. And then there's another one, which I assume is VHS or DVD, I guess. These 4, a lot of people, and some of these are probably fan art. They got into the saucers hanging from wires theme.
Yeah, these all look like more modern takes on it.
Yeah. The top left is kind of looks more like it looks like a pencil drawing actually, or charcoal. Fairly realistic.
There's the dentist.
Yes.
Yep. Feature the dentist. Oh, the chiropractor, wasn't he?
Oh, was a chiropractor or a dentist? I thought it was
I don't know. He's a dentist. I don't remember. And then the next one, I don't know about a poster like this, but I would lose patience trying to read. And that whole thing is Criswell's introduction prediction. All that text on that poster. Now we get into a little more comic book, cartoon type images that are really kind of fun.
Nice. I really like the bottom one.
Yeah, I do too.
And the dentist still has his. They even drew the guy with this cloak over his face, even in the drawing. They could have just drawn Bella.
Yeah.
So cool.
And then another one there on the top, and then the bottom one is the Blu-ray cover, I believe, which is, I don't know when it was issued, but it's currently unavailable as far as I can tell.
I like that one on the top. That's a cool one.
I do too. And then just a few more. Here's this one. So there's a picture of a video cassette there, but clear in the bottom left corner, it says IBM PC 3.5 inch. So like these are like old style 3.5 inch discs that come with this. So is there like a game maybe with?
I know there was a video game made of it.
Oh, there was?
I didn't know that.
That's so cool.
But there's apparently, and so this would have been, like pre-2000. I don't know when zip discs and CDs started being, writable discs started being used for data.
I'm going on a new treasure hunt.
Cool. An Asian, I have no idea what language it is or what country it is, but it's kind of cool. Like the color splashes. And before we have to look at this. This is the box art for the model, a bizarrely authentic scale model.
Bizarrely authentic.
That's great.
It's so real, it's scary.
I know.
How did they reproduce it in such detail?
So that's not even. I mean, there's probably another dozen I didn't pull. It's just people just love playing around with this movie. So let's go with Taglines. And well, first off, also known as, the working title was Grave Robbers from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
And why did they change that?
I don't know.
I have no idea either.
Well, he got his money from a Baptist church, and they thought that was blasphemy to have grave robbers.
Oh.
Somehow or another, he got a Baptist church to back for this.
What in the world?
And they suggested Plan 9 from Outer Space, and he didn't like it. But in the end, he did. He just had a way, didn't he, of just sort of loving the stuff he had.
Good Lord, how? How did that happen?
Before we do first impressions, it is time for the taglines.
I got to read these two? Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of church, please.
We're back to some good ones again.
There's so many. Okay. Unspeakable horrors from outer space paralyze the living and resurrect the dead. I don't recall one single paralyzed person in here, except when they were turned into skeletons, they couldn't move.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
Aliens resurrecting the dead. Flying saucers over Hollywood.
The horror.
Oh, gosh. As the screen's greatest shock star, Bela Lugosi is back to haunt the earth in a terrifying revelation of things to come. So I don't think the
the whole look into the future thing was kind of oversold, wasn't
it? I'm just worried about it doesn't seem like it flows very well. It is safe to say that the grandchildren of some of the people in this theater will not be born on Earth. Oh my
What?
These are in the trailer. I transcribed them from the trailer voiceover. I thought they were so funny.
I don't understand.
I don't either. I just read them. They come from the bowels of hell. A transformed race of walking dead zombies guided by a master plan for complete domination of the earth. Oh, please, punctuation, people.
That would be my fault. I just wrote that as told.
Oh, okay. Somehow I don't think you're probably not that far off from how it would have been on a real tagline. Bullets bounce off their bodies. Rockets, missiles, jets cannot stop their death ship. What earthly power can stop this terror? For a glimpse of things to come, see this blast of screen suspense. For it could be happening right now if you just turn around and look. Golly.
Is there anybody behind me?
Doc.
He's always there.
Okay, the worst movie of all time is finally available on video for more laughs than you got from Monty Python.
Right.
You didn't write that one, did you, Jeff?
No, I didn't. That was actually in the taglines.
Okay, we got to move on from these.
All right, now
I feel like Tor Johnson just after he's been turned into a skeleton.
So let's go to first impressions. And Whitney, this was your pick.
Yeah.
So, what's
It
your
was.
first impression? Where did this come from?
Actually, what is your excuse?
What is my excuse? Oh my
No,
goodness.
no excuses
Wow.
needed.
No. Oh my gosh. Where do I begin? Well, I remember watching this like as a teenager, and I thought, was this guy for real? Like, seriously? And I just thought there's so much to say, but it renders me speechless as to how this person, how this director, writer, and producer did so many things that a filmmaker shouldn't do in a movie like this. But it has a cult following, and that's why I chose it. It's so bizarre, and it has its cult following. And to know that some of the actors that are in it, like Bela Lugosi, Tori Johnson, Mylon Ermey, and the fact of when I first sat and I watched this and I was taking it in, I'm like, wow, this is really bizarre. There's a lot going on. That's just we'll get into some of those trivia like goofs and whatnot, but I was astounded in good and negative ways. But it's a riot. You kind of laugh at it as far as the writing, the directing, but there is a little bit of appreciation with just the charisma and the characters and the things that go into this. So that's my rambling right now.
Yes, there it is. All right. So, Chad, how about you? When did you first see this, and how do you think about it now when you watch it?
I watched this sometime back in the 80s, I think, and my first impression was
Arumph.
That's it. That was my first impression. No. The only reason I did watch it was a lot of my friends had seen it, and they were like, "Oh, you got to see Plan 9. It's just the worst movie ever made." And I was like, I don't know about that. Then I watched it and I went, yeah, it is. It's the absolute worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And but I couldn't. I'm with Whitney. I am dumbfounded how this movie was made, how this movie got made.
Right.
And you had Bela Lugosi in your movie, I'm still dumbfounded. I had to finally break down and watch Ed Wood trying to seek some kind of nugget of why this movie exists and how he made it and everything. But it's hilarious to watch, and some of the acting, some of these guys are like the general at the end. He's standing there and the ship's flying away and it's on fire, and he's like, "Oh well, I'll say one thing for them: they're more advanced than we are." As the ship is in flames, flying away like this, and then explodes into nothing. Where's that superiority you're talking about there, dude? And he's got his hands in his pocket like he's watching fireworks. It was just hilarious, and it's just moments. And this movie is full of moments like that, and it's a fun watch, and it exists now to be made fun of, I think, and just but yeah, and I still have fun watching it, even though at when I did first watch it, I was just going,
Yeah.
Did he just do that? Did he just say that?
Oh, we'll get to some of those, right?
Yeah, and the whole end scene of the fight at the end, where you couldn't see the fight because there was smoke everywhere, but you could hear the fight in the background, and it just reminded me of my mom's kitchen counter. It looked like there was a blender there, and it was supposed to be this sophisticated machinery, and the guy picks up a toaster.
Yeah.
Like,
Flashing light off a roadwork barrier.
Yeah,
flashing over
all that, and then the NBC peacock enveloping Criswell at the end. It was magic.
Okay. Thank you, Chad. Daphne, how about
You're
you?
welcome.
Have you seen this before?
Oh my gosh. I have seen it before. I couldn't tell you the first time I saw it. I feel like I knew of its existence. Maybe I just saw clips of it. But I remember my first actually watching it was in the early 80s. Those 99-cent stores started showing up in our neighborhood, and I bought a ton of VHS tapes from them from the movies that were just public domain at that point. So this was one that I got, and along with Night of the Evil Dead and a bunch of others. I can't remember the titles right now. And I loved it for the camp. I loved for the acknowledgement of these actors and directors that I hadn't really heard of before, or that no one was really talking about. And so that's when I remember watching it. And then of course later on learning more about Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood, and I think I watched it again a few times after that, 3 times or so throughout my life. But that was the first time I saw it, and I associate it with the time where I was just getting exposed to all this stuff that was kind of taken for granted, maybe rightly so, I don't know, but stuff that was in public domain and stuff that I just really appreciated. And it was really fun to watch again because I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Go on, tell us how you feel.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I ever watched this all the way through before. I think I saw.
Wow, really?
Not that I ever sat down. It was like, oh,
Well, that's the great thing about it. You don't have to watch it all the way through.
Well,
Right.
so anyway, this time sit down, and this is probably going to surprise you, but I have seen worse movies than this.
Yeah.
This is at least got some. I don't know. We were talking earlier. Daphne talked about going down the rabbit hole. I kind of went down the rabbit hole, the Ed Wood rabbit hole, and not to say he was I have no idea what kind of guy he was, but it's just, I got caught up in the movie. I just loved it. I watched it a couple of times, and then went and rewatched Ed Wood, the Tim Burton movie with Johnny Depp, etc., and then looked at some other stuff, and it just amazes me. And I would have loved to have been on the set, because the way they portray it in the movie Ed Wood is that like he was just, would not be defeated. If they didn't have the money for something, they just, made stuff up and used something that just looked totally ridiculous. Like, don't you want to shoot that again? He just tripped over that or walked into the wall or something. And he goes, no, that's realism, Scene 56, everybody places, he just, that's great. And it didn't matter what it looked like. Everything was great. So this movie is just so much fun, I think. I was laughing, but at the same time, I was just sort of like the audacity of making this and forging ahead and wanting this to be what he was remembered for. So anyway, let's kind of go on from there. And so I got a few things here to pull up just to kind of walk us through this. So I don't know if anybody did any research, but there's some pictures of Ed Wood. The top left one in the women's outfit, the sweaters on sweaters.
Angora.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody should know by now that he was a cross-dresser. He was heterosexual. And his first movie was he talked his way into it because it was supposed to be a biography of Christine Jorgensen, the first well-known transgender, transsexual operation. And he wrote a script and changed it into basically his story. Anyway, so, and he's brilliant. And then the guy in the top right was him, I think in the late 60s, early 70s. And when things kind of went bad, he got into doing porn. Mostly in the like 70 to 74 or something like that, writing and directing. Mostly shorts, it looks like. But anyway, so that's kind of that profile is sort of his studied picture, but the other two are other versions of him, right? Different times in his life. So Glenn or Glenda. And then came a movie called Jailbait with the tagline, "Danger, these girls are hot."
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, I don't know the story behind that one. I think
it sort of speaks for itself. You don't have to.
Yeah, I think some criminal was trying to get a plastic surgery, change their look. And then Bride of the Monster, just talked about quite a bit. Glenn or Glenda and Bride of the Monster are talked about quite a bit in the movie Ed Wood. And that's the one where I believe Lugosi has his actual last speaking part and gives that speech that's in Ed Wood. That's really, to see Lugosi do it and see Martin Landau do it as Lugosi, those are both incredible. And then came Plan 9, and then Night of the Ghouls, and the last one was The Sinister Urge. I believe was 1960, which is very strange. It's probably kind of hard to read, but the tagline says "Compulsive Killer Strikes Again," and under the title is "A Smut Picture Through the Mail." A psycho with the urge to kill, unbelievably daring. It's just
a smut picture through the mail. I got to see this now.
So I have, again, no idea. And there's a couple other movies later on.
How much later?
Let's just talk. Well, none of it went later than he died in 78 after being evicted from his apartment and being riddled with alcoholism. And I think, I'm not sure what else. I don't want to speculate because I'm sure there's experts. And there's been a couple of books written about him. I believe the movie that I had the picture of him there with the sweater on is Take It Out and Trade from 1970.
And I've never seen images like that before of him until now.
It says a couple hire a detective to locate their missing daughter. He finds her in a house of ill repute. That's all it says about it. It doesn't. Trying to think of who's in it. Yeah, so I don't know. But almost everything else you click on from that time period, one of the subject matters is adult. Things like Love Feast, 1 million AC/DC. Shotgun Wedding. Sex Orgy. Nymphocycler. Lesbian Love. It's kind of hard to miss.
Nymphocycler?
Well,
oh yes. My goodness.
When you're on a roll, you're on a roll.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's great.
Lots and lots of them. So he ends up with 82 credits as a writer, and we really only talk about maybe 5 or 6 from the 50s. 46 credits as a director. But it's all he did a whole series of movies. So there's a quiz now. Big John Part 1 and Big John Part 2. Who do you suppose was the star?
Big John.
John Holmes. The famous porno star.
I was going to say Tor Johnson.
I was going to go John Wayne.
Well, if that would be a normal person's, but we are the cool kids. You get the
Sorry.
Oh gosh.
behind the 8 ball, and 8 ball is ATE, behind the 8 ball, part 1, part. So I don't know.
I'm
This
just so not into 70s porn.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I'm not expecting you to be an aficionado. I just
Everybody, there's so much. Never mind.
so how
I am so not into
I am so not into
what do you
70s porn.
what do you know about Ed
Okay.
Wood and his other stuff? I probably told you too much already.
It could have been Jerry Seinfeld, and he's asking me who Big John is.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, we were talking about porn.
How much hair did they have on their back? I don't know.
Oh, God.
Can we narrow it down to that?
Please don't.
Well,
I thought John Holmes was kind of an iconic name. That most
Yeah, if you're into 70s porn, which I'm not.
well, maybe.
But you, Jeff, you went right to that. Like, boom. You guys should know who that is.
I could do stuff like that because I'm old. You know, you can get away with
What,
Yeah.
70s porn?
saying shit,
Well, maybe.
saying stupid shit. Anyway, all right. Ed Wood, anybody?
well, I didn't really know too much about him. Like my introduction to him was the movie Ed Wood, and then I watched this because of that movie. But I didn't. I was just amazed by the fact that this person just. I can't. Where do I begin? Okay, so just seeing someone as a director, as a producer, specifically the portrayal of his character, and seeing what he does with this movie, just the shots and seeing the humor of. Okay, what can I use as a perfect example? Okay, so. The stock footage, it was mentioned, like he liked to use the stock footage when they were talking about him in his movie, the Ed Wood movie, and then you could see the stock footage in this film, in what was used in this, especially like the war footage and stuff, and then you see the colonel on the phone, and you see the wall behind him, and I'm like, yes, this is all the stuff that a director is not supposed to be doing. The cut back and forth, day and night, is going wrong, and
You shouldn't be able to cast a shadow on the sky.
Yes, that too, and just but the charisma that he had in the film of him, and then you could see that though whether if you are a fan or not, like you could see his passion really playing throughout this film, and even though the writing was I don't know how to say it.
Crappy.
Yeah.
Not so good.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
The characters, but he had a way with people, like Jeff was talking about. He had a church behind him. Like how it was his charisma. It was his way of talking to people. Just to get.
I would give a
things and
month's
people
pay to see what the church's reaction was when we first saw this movie. I would give a month's pay. This is good. This is much better than the grave robbing.
Oh my gosh.
Well, according to Ed Wood, according to that movie, the church wanted to make a 12 video sequence about the disciples, I think, or something like that. But they didn't have the money to do that. They only had enough money, they thought, to make one. And he said, well, you got to make one that's an exploitation movie so you can make the money to make the others. At least that's the way they made it look like. He talked him into it. But they paid attention and read the script and were like, wait a minute. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's amazing.
And speaking of stock footage, that had to be the longest, most boring, alien versus army scene I have ever saw.
Yeah.
And I know I was supposed to say scene, but I'm trying to play along in the spirit of this movie.
Right.
And how it was written. Just they should have called it the stock footage war with interspersed.
My favorite stock footage was how every time they mentioned back in Washington, D.C., you see the same plane flying over the Pentagon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time back in Washington, D.C. And that they say things that make it sound like this has been going on for like months. You know, we've tried to talk to them. We've tried to do this. Anyway.
I love the same police car going down the same road each time the cops were called there. That was good.
I actually visualize like the country road past our house. They're driving down a gravel road and they pull off to where they're partially off screen, out of shot, and get out of their cars, and then they cut to walking through the cemetery. I don't know where the cemetery was, but this was just some random gravel road they were.
I'd hate to be buried in that cemetery. Holy cow! I was afraid somebody was going to knock one of the headstones over with their feet. And they're all crammed in together like they're buried on top of each other.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? I've always heard about the gravestones falling over, so I was trying to watch for that, and I saw lots of them wiggling, wobbling, but I didn't see them fall over.
They're so tiny. These are the world's small. They're like Stonehenge from This Is Spinal Tap. Just this tall.
All right.
No, it's not.
But I'm just amazed at. I'm just totally amazed at the film, and the I don't know what it was. Is it lack of self-appraisal, or is it
stupidity?
The only way to do it is to do
Too stupid to fail.
I don't know. That's the charm of it, I guess.
Right.
Or, I mean, I've really been thinking. I've been trying to think about it. And when Whitney said charisma, it's like there is something about that, and it's the charm of. I don't know. This is such a bad movie, but it's like, but I feel the love and the intention of the person who made it, and I can easily project myself into that as, okay, this is all I got to express this. I'm gonna try.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and like not wanting to believe it sucks, wanting to believe that people can see what your intention is, what your vision is, but you just don't have the means to do it, and it's something about the charm. Somehow he was able to get that across, at least to me anyway. Maybe I'm a dorky softy.
Oh no, I mean, I feel that way exactly about it.
Yeah, I think people do. I don't know how we did it though.
especially because a lot of people that are creative, and I'm guilty of it too, it's almost like an imposter syndrome kind of thing. Like when I'm starting to pick up on like painting or writing or whatever I'm working on, I'm like, me do this? Am I really supposed to? I don't know if that's gonna sound right, look right. But then I watch this and I'm like, maybe just maybe there's a glimmer of hope, because stuff like this has that charisma that Ed Wood had, because he was an enthused person with his creativity. Maybe he had his moments of doubt and everything, but I just saw the passion behind, like the intention, like you said.
Well, according to Johnny Depp, he had no gaps in his passion for the enthusiasm. I mean, I was the same as Whitney. I knew nothing of him until I watched the movie Ed Wood, and he was just a guy that would not let no get in his way of what he wanted to do. He would
Yeah, or not enough money. Either.
Right,
Yeah.
or anything. You know, he had this, the way Depp played him was sort of like almost like a Groucho Marx type this manic character who he saw the positivity in everything. Yes. He didn't see things as a down. He saw everything as, well, that doesn't work. We'll just go do this. And he just, the manic, that man, he just didn't let things stand in his way of what he wanted. And I think that really is what kind of shows through in this movie and why people kind of like it so much. And that it sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
I saw some interviews where one of his, more than one person, but one of his ex-wives in particular said that when he was younger, he won a bunch of speed typing competitions. And they said he was the fastest typer they'd ever seen. Wow. And they said he would write in the middle of the night, you'd hear him.
Oh my goodness.
Like crazy.
Wow.
And I think they said he wrote this script in 3 days, but which is,
I believe it.
Maybe not surprising in hindsight, but I've never written a script, so I haven't written one in decades. So yeah, I just enjoy that whole feel, that whole idea, and it seems like you can feel it. And the actors, at least most of the time, I don't see anybody. The people that are the experienced actors. Well, I guess nobody's mailing in. Even the people that aren't very good actors are trying. They're not going, what a shite movie. I'm gonna, blow it off.
I actually, when I watched it again last night, and the guy who plays the detective, I was watching him, and I was like, he's actually doing really well.
Yeah.
I thought he's doing a good job. I mean, I'm not an actor, but as someone who watches it, I thought, yeah, he's good.
He had a Brian Dunleavy kind of a feel to him.
He did.
He did. He was the cop. You know?
hard-boiled detective kind of guy.
Well, let's take a look at some of this stuff. So we've talked about Lugosi, right? So the deal with Lugosi, what was the deal with that?
Well, I think he had all Lugosi's footage was for another movie. Is that right?
Well, I saw that, and I saw other things where I think it was the Vampire's Tomb he was going to make, and he just shot this stuff without a script or anything.
And he just took it and worked it into this movie because he wanted it to be Lugosi's last movie. Well,
plus it helped get the money. It was one of those things where, at least in Ed Wood, every time he tries to sell a movie, I've got big name actors. Well, like who? Like Bela Lugosi. Isn't he dead? Well, up until Plan 9 from Outer Space, then the Baptists go, isn't he dead? He goes, well, yeah, but we got a way around that. We have film of him. So
my dentist needs a job.
So they did the shots of him coming out of the house. They did the shots of my dentist. They did the shots of him walking through the graveyard, spreading his cape, and then the shots at the funeral that they ended up saying was his funeral for his wife. And that one is actually sort of prescient. The other ones I think are just kind of lucked into.
And then they screwed it all up when he walked off screen and was hit by a car.
Yeah. The world.
That just came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, that's cool. Bela Lugosi. Where is he going?
And then the voiceover. Beep, beep. So according to the information that we got, they started filming this on August 11th, and Lugosi died August 16th. So if they count those early shots of him, sort of second unit type stuff that they spliced in later, I don't know.
Yeah,
when that
I don't know when that filming was, but I have heard people say that they have a hard time watching the film because seeing Bela kind of at the end of his life and maybe ill, or perhaps doing it just because he had to.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
I don't know a lot about his relationship with Bella, so I can't comment on that. But I have heard that from people that they find it hard to watch Lugosi in it because of that.
Well, I think Wood sort of befriended him.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
That's the impression I've got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And was actually looking in on him when he was not feeling very well, and they became really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, in the movie Ed Wood, they have him where Bella like calls him up, Eddie, I need help, you know, and he in the middle of the night, and he would go over there, and he needs, you know, he needed methadone or morphine or something. I don't know about this movie because I think in between Bride of the Monster, in which case he was, and this one, I believe he went to a rehab or an institute. I saw an interview. I didn't catch a date on it. I saw an interview of him coming out of the not an institute, a sanitarium, right, for his health to help him kick. And he'd been in there for 3 months, and he talked about how it was the worst thing he'd ever gone through, and he was ready to go make movies now. His friend Ed Wood had a movie for him he was going to start on, and you know, I don't get that from this, because I think he was I've kind of changed my ideas about some of that stuff. I saw an interview with Eric Roberts a while ago, and I kind of joked, you know, or maybe turned my nose up at Eric Roberts for a while, because it seems like he just makes whatever the hell. You know, he's in so many movies. He's like a day player in some stuff. He's in a lot of bad movies. But the interview I saw with him, he's just like going, I'm an actor and I act. And if you call me up and I'm not doing anything, you know, I'm going to go act. And so I kind of am looking at it this way. Yeah, was his career on downhill, but at least Ed Wood was allowing him to do that stuff. And I think he took a lot of pride in that closing speech from Bride of the Monster, because they said he would periodically, that he and Ed Wood would be walking down the street. He would periodically just stop and break into that speech. And that would cause people to recognize him. And then, you know, a few people would come up and want his autograph and stuff like that. But it was about, you know, it starts off with home. And then he gets teary-eyed and says, I have no home. You know, and that it was a lot about his current state. So anyway, I don't know.
That's part of the charm is,
yeah,
you know, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but you know, there's really a humanity to that, to knowing of that about the actors, and I think that adds to your at least my appreciation of the movies. Sometimes it's something I can relate to, or something about humanity that I can share. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know behind it. Was he using Lugosi? Of course he was, but I think he gave some back too. You know, so I don't know. So what did I say here? So that's Lugosi. This is not Lugosi.
Oh my god!
Those scenes were
open wide.
Oh my gosh, those were.
I think those were the things, like the scenes where this stand-in or this guy came in. I think this is part of what makes this movie like fun to watch, even though it is the most obviously painful thing. Like, that's not Bela Lugosi, but it's still funny.
And when I first watched it, I did not think it was Bela Lugosi in any way, shape, or form. I was like, who's this guy coming up?
Yeah,
I had no idea when I first watched it.
It's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was great.
I just thought it was another dead guy coming out of a crypt somewhere.
That was my first impression when I first watched this, because I thought, there's another. Oh, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be Bella.
As Bela Lugosi, he made a great dentist,
Yeah.
chiropractor, or whatever he was.
Keep talking. I'm going to find that because
And then-
I feel bad.
I liked how he went into the bedroom with Trent's wife, and like just the way that she reacted, and him just kind of still lurking right behind her so slowly. It's so painful, but it was so fun.
And then when they were shooting him, he still wouldn't let put his arm down.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. And then they were like, let's see what he looks like. Ah, crap, he's a skeleton already.
Yes, that was awesome.
Him and Tor Johnson had the same skeleton, by the way.
Yeah.
Tor Johnson, who's 5 times bigger than this dude, had the same skeleton as him.
But when you see, when you're saying let's take a look at him and he's a skeleton, like I like how they pulled that cape just for that reveal.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, the cape that was supposed to have hidden him the whole time.
Yeah, all it was missing was the music going dan dan dan. Ah, crap, he's a skeleton.
Absolutely.
Fun stuff.
It's driving me nuts now. Keep talking, Chad.
If he was a chiropractor or a dentist.
Yeah, okay. That's the thing.
I could have sworn it was a dentist.
Was
I could
he
be wrong.
I'm sure you're right.
a doctor or something?
He was.
When
It says he
finished
was
here, you will have the best fangs in Transylvania.
an American chiropractor who was best known for appearing in the films directed by Ed Wood. Now that's Wikipedia. So I don't know.
Lie still, I am
just
going
like
to
this.
crack your back.
So he was in multiple Ed Wood films?
Yes,
Probably
and
not
actually,
with his face covered up.
Maybe.
And in the Dracula outfit.
well, it's so.
I love it.
Yeah. He did 2 movies, and they were both. Night of the Ghoul was the other one, I think. The following one. But also, there was a couple shorts that Ed Wood did right around then that I've never heard that much about, that he was in. One was called, it just says actor. He was the foster ghost. Someplace it says stand-in for the ghoul.
Another stand-in.
Yeah. Plan 9 says ghoul man with cape over face.
Ghoul man.
And then he was associate producer for Night of the Ghouls and a short called Final Curtain. Anyway, it's hard to, I don't think there's anything that any of his parts that will be able to tell if he could act or not. Maybe that's the point.
Maybe.
All right. So
the guys in the airplane had better lines than he did. Well, it's not really an airplane. It was 2 guys sitting on lawn chairs with big donut-shaped controls for the airplane.
Yeah.
And the one guy had the script in his lap.
So we're going to that.
Yeah,
what is
that thing?
I think it's like some post with a semicircle of like plywood they painted black.
Yeah, there's something.
On a screw, and he actually goes like this a couple times. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes.
imagine what he was thinking.
It's like he's driving an apple pie.
He comes in for the scene and goes, where's the cockpit set?
And this is a picture where he's actually holding the controls. There's one scene where his hands are both of his hands are in his lap, and he's talking to the co-pilot. And I'm going, who's driving? Who's driving?
Because it wasn't the other guy. The other guy's looking down at the script in his lap the whole
They're
time.
terrible pilots.
I felt like Leslie Nielsen was going to come through the curtain.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah.
So while we're here, that's the mothership, apparently.
The mothership, yeah.
That the saucers go back to. And then at some point, they added, I don't have a picture of it, but they added a little like square block to the bottom of one of the saucers so that you would understand that there was something it landed on. corners, because when they go up to the outside of the ship, and I wish I had a picture. I was trying to find a picture of it. When I watched it again last night, there's a ladder on the outside of the ship. First, it looks like it looks
it's
exactly
a flat
like
ladder.
Yeah,
It's a flat
Well,
ladder.
it looks like two pieces of plywood, like a lap joint. They just went up there and nailed the end. You could see the sides of it, and then this ladder's laying there, and you can see the wood grain on it. And I'm thinking, oh, this doesn't sound like any metal from Earth. Ching, ching, twing. It just fits right in with it.
Apparently, these guys invade in ships of 3. Waves of 3. They come in waves of 3 every time.
They did. Well, she probably only made 3. I think didn't his wife make those or something?
Yeah, she made all the model kits, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nice.
So we had
yes.
Vampira or
I love her.
Mila
Yes.
Nurmi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you get some backstory on her. She had she's considered by a lot of people to be the first horror movie host,
Mm-hmm.
like 55 or 57, something like that in LA.
Yeah, she had her own series for a little while.
And she had long fingernails before they were in fashion today.
That's true.
And the teeny tiny waist.
Yes.
That
Like
was
waist-
scary.
Yes.
The waist
Just
training.
enough room for a spine.
Barely. Spine and rib cage. Lower rib
Yeah, that's
cage.
what I was wondering. Did she have all her ribs? Well, again, and I don't know if it's kosher to keep talking about that, but in the movie Ed Wood, he's after her. He sees her someplace, and he's trying to get her to be in his movie.
Yeah.
And she won't have anything to do with him. But then when she gets canceled, he finds out about it, calls her up, and then she's like, I need some money. So now I did look on her IMDb page. It said that she got paid $200 for Plan 9. But she also saw an interview with her too, where she said she was only on screen for like 15 minutes. I'm not even sure she was on for that long.
Yeah.
But I
It
feel
didn't
like
seem
her
it.
image is like such a big part of at least
Her
what I
and-
think of the
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. Or what
Her
you
and
see
Tor
pictures
Johnson,
of. Yeah, her and Tor Johnson.
It's definitely an iconic
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere for her, especially because I don't know, screen time wise, it's not too hard to believe that she didn't have a lot of screen time, because a good portion of it is outside in that thicket, like of near the grave sites and everything. And it's just
Yeah. And she said, I just couldn't read that dialogue. So I asked him if the character couldn't be mute, and he's like, okay.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
She said, I just couldn't read it. It was so bad. But it fit because Tor Johnson's character doesn't have any lines either, right?
Mhm.
Once he goes.
Yeah, once he's a
becomes-
zombie, yeah.
But the thing is, it works for the characters that
Yeah.
they were trying
does.
to
It does.
play. Like,
Yeah.
why do they need to?
I don't know what the lines would have been. if they
Right.
didn't need any. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't expect them to talk or anything, or I
Mm-mm.
don't.
Speaking of Tor Johnson.
Tor Johnson.
So the top one is him as, I think it's Inspector Clay when he 1st
Mhm.
shows up, which I just love. When they show the cops getting in that car, I swear
It's
that
great.
there's almost no room for the guy driving. He gets in the other side. And the guy on the driver's side, he doesn't even start to get in until Tor Johnson gets in and pulls, gets himself all situated.
See how much room he has left. Yeah. That's a big dude. And scary. That's
Yes.
a scary image.
That look on that face is just. Well, that's him shooting not Lugosi.
Not look.
We'll call him Chiropractor Dan for the remainder of the show.
And
You're
then
not
these
cracking
are
my back, see?
so he was a professional wrestler among other things, right? These are some of his moves. I loved when he clobbers that cop outside the car.
Oh, that
He
was
just walks up and
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
I kept going back and playing that at double speed, and it was hilarious.
It was great. And it looks like maybe he's tipping over a tombstone right there behind him. I don't know.
Could be.
He is, how he gets that look at it. I was actually trying that look in the mirror. I can't do it.
Did you take any pictures of it? Because I'm sure all the listeners would love to see that.
Yeah. No. I don't think they would, actually.
Oh my.
So this is great. He actually had like 52 credits in films and that stuff. So, and I thought I saw something that we would have known about. Of course, he was in those 3 Ed Wood movies. He did.
He was in Yucca Flats, wasn't he?
Yes. The Beast of Yucca Flats. Also, The Black Sleep. The one with John Carradine and.
He was in a Thin Man movie.
He was. Yes. Look clear down at the beginning. I knew there was something I wanted to bring up to Daphne.
He played a wrestler in that, didn't he?
Yeah. Shadow of the Thin Man.
The Strong Man and Houdini.
I'm gonna have to watch that tonight.
Abbott Costello
And
and the Foreign Legion.
Yes.
Because
I
you
was
have the
about to
box
say
set,
that.
right?
Yes. I have a couple box sets actually.
Ghost Catchers. He was in the Lemon Drop Kid with Bob Hope. So he started doing some of this stuff quite a while before. 20 years before this movie. Abbott Costello and the Foreign Legion.
Yep.
Did you say that one already?
Chad mentioned it. I was thinking of saying
okay.
that. But yes, awesome.
It's okay. I don't mind being repeated.
No, it's cool.
It's the I'm not listening to you that you would mind. Anyway, he was a cool guy, and I love when he's got those lines as the inspector, and he's got this weird kind of foreign accent that almost sounds like the Bronx, but then not. It's got the
Well, I think he's from Sweden, so he's probably got the Swedish accent. I'm going to hit you on both sides of your head, but in a more gravelly.
I'm a big boy, Johnny.
I'm a big boy, Johnny. Mrs. Wiggins.
Yeah, just about. So here's some of the other guys. So these are the people in it that were people that made their living acting. The lead, I don't know which one's the lead male, but Gregory Walcott was Jeff Trent. Mm-hmm. And Mona McKinnon played his wife. She only had, I think, maybe 10 credits.
She reminds me of June Lockhart. A little bit.
6 credits. And I think at least a lot of these people had like 10 or less credits, and usually about half of them were with Ed Wood. So Gregory Walcott had 116 credits, and you could probably guess he was in a ton of Westerns as that kind of voice. Tom Keane actually was a silent Western star in the 20s. And then he had like his career sort of gradually went. So silent Western star in the 20s, and then starred in a few movies in the 30s. And he bopped down to the Poverty Row pictures. And then now, obviously, I guess this is another one. And this is actually his last film. He was in some TV shows after this, but. And then Lyle Talbot, that guy's in like everything, 332 credits.
He's our Batman. He's our Batman.
He is.
Contact.
There's a couple of them, actually. Yeah.
He played Lex Luthor in the Adam Man versus Superman serial.
and in the Batman and Robin serial.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That he's our Batman.
Yeah.
Guy. That's for this one.
He played Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Batman and Superman. So, any comments about them? I mean, they look like they're a lot of times when they're saying lines. I mean, I think they're giving it their all.
They really are.
But they're also kind of like, I can't believe I'm saying this, you know.
I mean,
they're sort of
I definitely felt like there was some awkwardness, especially with the couple. I mean, they definitely gave it their best, but with the scene where he's leaving, or he's about to leave, and he's telling her to go back inside. And it's kind of that awkward. Yes, it's kind of that awkward pause there. And then he's like, well, he's basically saying he didn't want to leave until she gets inside and everything. And there's some awkward pauses in between all of that. Otherwise, I thought they did great together.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of funny because there was a lot of that, the awkward pauses, the movements, the looking around, especially with the Colonel. And like, he's right against a wall where he's having, you know what he's having to look at is all of the space of what's going on with this attack and everything.
Right.
But you just know there's a wall right there.
Well, that's interesting. Like in the, I don't know what it was, but in the, I probably don't have it on this.
But they tried. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I cropped it too close because I wanted to be able to see the thing. But the back wall of the cockpit on the left-hand side, I don't know what it was. It was some circular chart with a bunch of numbers on it and a
looked like a school clock.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it looked like some kind of a circular calculator or something too. And then over here was just a plain old regular clipboard hanging on a hook. And there was
two lawn chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They obviously weren't standard pilot's chairs.
The actor Tom Keane, I kind of bought some of his skepticism or his wanting to talk about aliens, like the military is telling him not to, and he's like,
Yeah.
I kind of bought that.
Oh yeah, the general.
A little bit,
Officially, there are no aliens. Well, I saw them.
and the general's going, okay, well, all right, right answer. Let's move on. You're the perfect man for this job.
Yeah. Just so you know, you're the one we're throwing under the bus afterwards. Okay, these are some of Ed Wood's.
Yeah.
The Ed Wood's.
Oh my gosh, Paul Marco, that guy. Slapstick.
Yeah, he was great. I think he plays the same guy. He's Officer, starts with a K. Patrolman Kelton. In every Ed Wood film, he plays a police officer named Kelton. No. And I saw a series of clips of his scenes, and they're almost all, yes, sir, no, sir. Why, sir? What do you mean, sir?
And he had to do the siren for the police car. Wee.
He might have. He's an interesting character too. He's only got I think it was like 10 credits. But he started the Paul Marco fan club and sells t-shirts and
he started the Paul Marco.
Oh my goodness.
He started it himself.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's great. It's like, it was part of the deal,
Hey, if he's not going to do it, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Well, and he's the one that had to take that two-armed club from Tor Johnson too, I think.
Yeah, he did. And then he had the line later. He almost broke my shoulder.
I don't doubt it a bit. All right, so we have to talk just a minute about these uniforms. So,
oh my gosh,
how prescient is it?
What's to say?
They use in the top picture. They're using the icon for Facebook Messenger as their insignia. I'm like going, man, it matches exactly. It's exactly.
Well, they are from the future.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the other guy, just the ruler, just to show he's from the future, has a battle axe for his
It's great.
uniform. I'm just like, this is just too good.
Let's go ask Bunny what we should do next.
Yeah, so Eros was played by Dudley Manlove.
Love that name.
That Chad covets his name. And then I think Tana, the woman alien, was played by Joanna Lee. And she's one I looked up, and I was surprised that she really did go on and have a career. She only has 14 acting credits, but she has 37 writing credits and 12 producing credits. Wrote for comedy series that everybody would recognize, and a lot of after school specials for a couple of different networks in the 70s and the 80s. So and she had a quote that said that she, in her stuff, she always wanted to have women that won, something along those lines. So I thought that was kind of cool. And she won an Emmy writing the screenplay for the TV movie on Babe Didrikson, the famous female athlete from the, I think, late 20s and 30s, who won some Olympic medals and then went into golf and was a kind of an activist for women's athletes. But anyway, yeah.
Unlike Dudley Manlove, who did nothing.
I'm not sure what Dudley did.
I think he was a radio announcer or something like that.
Oh, you're right. And that, when he was, I kept thinking, this guy, he looks familiar. And then I thought, well, maybe he just sounds familiar. He sounds like, they said he was the voice for Lux soap, I think, or Lux detergent on the radio. He has that perfect voice for that when you listen to him. So yeah, I think he did do a bunch of.
I just want to know.
He had multiple guest starring roles in Dragnet and Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Oh, Alfred Hitchcock too. Yep, I did see that.
These costumes look like something out of Flash Gordon.
Well, what I loved about these two and the intro was not just the costumes, but like that shoulder thing, like that
exactly. Yeah, that's how Tor Johnson learned his finishing move there. Their weak points must be on their shoulders, and it didn't quite work out the way.
Well, but then the ruler goes, they're doing this, military looking thing. And he goes, does this kind of.
Yeah, he could care less. Look at him down there. He could care less about what these two up at the top are doing. You guys haven't taken over the earth yet?
Which one is that?
Well, the thing I thought about the costumes was I think I had an outfit like that when I was in middle school or high school. Leggings. I can think of it now. Yellow leggings and like a pastel silky top with a belt.
You have the battle axe on it?
No battle axe. Not
you should do the battle axe.
Did you see, Daphne, did you notice Eros's boots?
I think I did notice them when he was walking around. Yeah.
It had some kind of, silver flourishes on it or something with a little silver piping around the top. But that's one of the things I noticed we talked about what directors do in this movie. When you look at the stills from it, that the shot is always like cutting off their legs inside. It's always cutting off their legs and showing all kinds of extra room above their heads. It's.
Oh yeah, you can see the boom
Let's
mic
just
in
get
a
him
couple.
from the
Yeah. So we're not too concerned with.
I wore these boots for nothing. You guys kept cropping it out of every shot.
Oh my gosh.
You mean the one with the silver flourishes? Yes, the one with the silver flourishes. Not that anyone would know because you cut them off.
So the ruler was
early
John Breckenridge, who was also known as Bunny, and he was a burlesque performer.
He performed burlesque, or he was just in the show?
I think so. I think he was also a
like a male
as opposed to Ed Wood, who was a cross-dresser or transvestite. I think this guy was a transgendered and you just weren't. Wasn't easy to.
We got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Well, it
no
wasn't
way.
easy to get the surgeries back then.
Right. There's no way he didn't argue about that battle axe being on the front of his shirt. There's no way he didn't put up a fight about that. Yeah, I just don't believe it. I want a Facebook Messenger, lightning bolt.
That seems like it would have done it.
Just that look on his face right there. He's just so. I mean, I'm talking about his character, not even him just his character is like, come on. You guys have had all this time to take over the planet by now. You've only brought 3 people back from the dead.
This says he was a house guest of Paul Marco at the time the film was shooting, which is how he got into it, I guess. I'm trying to. I know there was something a little more specific about this, but he kind of apparently went by Bunny. That was his nickname.
There was a lot of guys named Bunny back then.
Bill Murray played him in Ed Wood, which was
that's right.
Another interesting thing.
That must have been like a pretty common nickname for back then. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. Any other things you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about? I did notice, and thanks to Daphne for correcting me on this, but Vampira, Mila Nurmi, her uncle was Paavo Nurmi, known as the Flying Finn. He set 22 official world records at distances between 1,500 meters and 20 kilometers, won 9 gold medals, 3 silver medals in the Summer Olympic Games. And at one point, he was undefeated in 121 races at distances from 800 meters on up.
Awesome.
I thought
That's
a cool thing. I've heard that name before. As soon as I saw reading something about Paavo Nurmi, I was like, oh yeah, that's where I heard that name before. Yeah, so actually the guy that okayed the money for the Baptist church, or one of the guys, the deacons, was one of the grave diggers.
Oh.
Okay.
Which they had a couple cool lines too. Although their dead bodies were just a couple of dummies thrown there kind of twisted.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, I remember watching it going, well, that's a good tradition, the grave diggers. I mean, he's nodding to the tradition of the comic relief grave diggers there.
Yeah.
And we talked about it with Frankenstein and stuff. I was just reading more about Breckenridge when you were talking, and he had a really interesting life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should bring up the amazing Criswell.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I had a picture of him too. I'm not sure. See if I can get it up here fast.
Known for his wildly inaccurate predictions. This movie included.
And for the future.
Well, and for having the strangest hairdo I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, that was
maybe not the strangest, but pretty strange.
It was unique.
Yeah. It made him stand out for sure, which is
Definitely
probably what he wanted.
The amazing Criswell. And he had a show for 5 years, and it was when I looked it up, it was listed as being 5 minutes. So I think he did, one of those late night 5-minute things. I don't know if that was it or not. But
they were like, wasn't it like almost like an early infomercial?
All right. Any final thoughts about this film?
Well, I hope you guys aren't too mad at me for picking it.
No.
Of course not.
I spent a fair amount of time trying to find a Blu-ray after I watched it.
Oh,
Seriously.
wow.
I wanted to own it. And there is a DVD box set of the Ed Wood collection.
Oh,
Although
I
I
don't
think-
know if you want to do that.
Most of these films, I think, are available on YouTube. Plan 9 from Outer Space is also on the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel. All right, let's move to...
Now, I love that we
Feedback.
talked about it, Whitney.
I do too.
Thanks for
I'm so
picking it.
glad.
This
Yeah,
is-
I love
We got to
it. I
talk
love
about
it.
this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, I just thought it was one of the most bizarre movies ever, and seeing things like being done so incorrectly in filmmaking. Like, you see the scenes that are shot light and in broad daylight with Bela Lugosi and transitioning back to nighttime to like the police car and all these other things. I'm like, oh my God, these are the things that shouldn't be done, but it's so bad, it's so good.
Mhm.
It's just, I mean, it's fun. And
Yeah, it was a good pick. It was a good pick.
But the thing that is bizarre to me is the cult following that is like really strong today.
Mhm.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I knew we'd cover it at some point. I just kind of always thought Chad would pick it, but after
That would
4
have been a
days,
little too on the nose for me.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, so we have a bunch of feedback. Let's take some turns. Can you guys find that on the workflow?
Mhm.
Somebody want to read the one from Bill Gabriel? This was just kind of a general comment he made.
I can, if you want.
Okay, go for it.
From Bill Gabriel. You guys have been doing a great job with the classic years. Listening to you and the crew is like hanging out with your best friends growing up and talking about movies. I love that. That's awesome. Which basically you are when I think about it.
Yeah.
Aw.
I'm like,
I love that.
awesome, Bill.
Thank you.
Bill's
I
a good
appreciate
guy.
that.
I want my records back, Bill.
That's really, really awesome.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Well, just hanging out with friends. Can I borrow your?
Oh, gotcha.
You never get it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why we never let you hang around us when we were growing up.
I know. I don't get it. I just don't get it. This one is on episode 106, Rasputin, the Mad Monk, from Alistair Hughes in New Zealand. Who wants to take this as a long one? Chad?
I'll read it. I like Al. Rah-rah Grue-Crew team, reviewers of Rasputin, which is delicious, by the way.
It is very yummy.
Yeah. Not one single reference to Boney M in your entire Rasputin the Mad Monk podcast. This alone elevates you all to greatness because that would be low-hanging fruit indeed. Which is usually we're all about the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Or as the Chad Monk described, the free Rasputin beard, 10 low-hanging dead mice from a coat hanger. It was. It really was. It just looked a cheap way to make fake beards for kids. Until that one kid got bitten.
Oh my.
Honestly, you guys were on fire for this episode. From Whitney's mostly stifled but fearlessly owned up to burp onwards, this is a wild ride through Tsarist Russia via Bray Studios. So much to say about this wonderful film, apparently starring Christopher Columbus and Barbara Hershey.
Nice.
But I will keep it short. Really, Al? You say you're going to keep it short, and I'm still reading this thing. Okay, let's go. Even after years of awkward, busting out moves, no one ever apologized to me for laughing at my dancing. Christopher Lee, or at least his Rasputin dummy, landed more or less on the same spot where he sunk under the ice in Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Was there any awkward eye contact before the Mad Monk finally expired? I don't know. He was kind of far away. But that I thought that looked pretty similar to the Dracula.
It is. That's the same castle, yeah. Or same building.
Daphne miming my hammer neckline graphic might just be my favorite moment. I don't know. In my entire life, Thanks so much for the shout out.
Don't forget the one above that.
Yeah, you almost skipped where he complimented me and my
Oh, okay.
beard. I mean, I appreciate it. He said my perfect impersonation of Rasputin or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Do I still have to read it then?
Yes.
Nah,
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Whitney performed a perfect Rasputin impersonation by holding her hair over her mouth, but sadly, I think you all missed it.
I saw
I
it.
saw it.
Well,
I
thank
saw
you.
it. It was good.
I just thought she had to burp again.
We were too late.
Yeah, I mean, it could. You never know.
Okay, I promised to be brief, and I did not hold up to that promise. I'll close by saying that I suspect you might all agree that the late and much missed Barbara Shelley absolutely deserves her place on the Hammer Films Mount Rushmore. Beside Cushing, Lee, and Michael Ripper, I think she equals Lee in this film. I do too. Love to you all from New Zealand. Al. Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Appreciate
We
it.
love Al
Appreciate
around
it.
here.
Love it.
We do, and great comments too.
Especially where he mentions Whitney.
Yeah, and Al's got a great book.
That
called
needed to be
Infogothic,
brought to light, yeah.
which we thought up. That's the book.
Yeah.
Infogothic.
Very cool.
Which is
Gotta get it.
available. It's pretty cool about Hammer Films. And he was a guest host on our episode where we discussed Cycle of the Werewolf, starring Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed.
Check that one out. Audio only. That was a pre-video.
Jeff's in Stephen King mode. It was Curse of the Werewolf.
Curse of
Curse.
Well, did I say cycle again? Oh my
Yeah.
God. It's sort of like there's like this little thing in the back of my head going.
It's
"That was
earwax.
right, but keep
It's called
going.
earwax.
Keep going." So this one's on episode 90 from about Son of Kong, John Lindsay 289. That's his YouTube handle. A lame sequel to a fantastic fantasy movie and a cash grab.
Maybe, and that's probably true, but I still love that movie.
It is a cash grab, but it certainly doesn't. Yeah, we talked about that in the episode quite a bit. I liked it. A totally different feel. It's got more heart to it, I think, kind of too.
I missed the episode, but I think Most Dangerous Game was actually a more almost in the. I like to think of that movie as almost a sequel to Kong. It felt like it was in the same universe.
Yeah, it is. It is. The same person, John Lindsay 289, commented on episode 98, Island of Lost Souls. Early body science fiction horror before David Cronenberg. I saw this movie on TV in 87 at age 5. Great movie. This and Cronenberg's The Fly would make a good double feature on the horrors of making hybrid creatures.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, body horror in 1932.
Yeah.
Then on episode 105, The Green Slime.
Mhm.
Bubzilla has a grinny emoticon. Saw this on TV when I was a kid. Found this podcast recently, and you all are great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're
Welcome
great,
aboard, Bub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anton Sanudo.
I can do this one.
yo.
movie.
Oh, okay. You do it. You do it.
Yeah, she
I'm
has the
sorry.
hood. She has the hoodie on already. So.
Yeah. Good movie, yo.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
Nice.
Next, who wants to be Jerry Chandler? Who wants to read the next one?
Okay, I'll read it since Jerry's my best friend ever. Hello, Jerry. One of the greatest films of all time. He's just kissing up to Doc now. You don't know Jerry like we do.
If I don't know if you saw our episode or not, if you remember, Doc was talking about he needed to cosplay the creatures from the Green Slime, so he was wondering if Dirk or any of our friends on the West Coast that are in movies could locate one of the suits.
Oh, wow.
So Dirk Rogers comments. Who wants to read that? And Dirk's in special effects in movies. He's if you haven't friended him or check out his Instagram, he's always posting. In fact, he's got a cool restaurant in LA I need to visit next time we're out there. That's a zombie horror themed restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
I'll read it since I haven't read one yet.
Sorry.
Hey, Grue-Crew. Great film, great review, and great seeing Doc on the episode. So I did some digging, and as far as I can tell, no suits from the green slime still exist. The suits, which were created by Ikusu Productions, the same company who created the monster suits for Inframan, trashed the costumes after production wrapped.
Oh.
Since all the green slime were played by child actors, I'm guessing that the reuse of the smaller suits would be pretty limited. Personally, I like to believe that the FX crew recycled some of the tentacles from the green slime for use on some of the Inframan villains, thereby increasing their evil exponentially. Thanks for the show. Keep up the good work. Green slime!
Awesome.
Nice.
I appreciate it, Dirk, and
Yes.
I referred this to Doc, and he's totally bummed out. But now I think he's fixated on watching Inframan to see if he can spot any tentacle.
Oh my gosh.
I really appreciate it, Dirk, and I am going to come see your place. I hope you're still going. Should be in California in 2022, so hopefully come visit you. And a few comments on episode 104, Attack of the Crab Monsters.
Oh, Lord.
Scott Patz, P-A-T-Z.
Okay, I'm ready. Go ahead.
One of the most fun episodes of listening pleasure. Daphne provided a laugh track. Mr. Krabs, Richie Cunningham, and Gilligan's Island all make appearances. Thank you for making housework enjoyable. God bless.
Awesome.
None of which had anything to do with the crab monster.
Nope.
By the way.
No. But you were Mr. Krabs, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Wasn't that your name?
Oh, that's
and then
right. Yeah, the intro. Yeah.
Bubzilla comments again. Love this flick. And Jay Bart, a longtime listener, says, I had this on Super 8 as a kid. Look forward to listening.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Had one Super
is.
8.
It
That's
is.
awesome.
I think, did you buy those off of like comic books and stuff? Or
You used to be able to get them in the back
Monsters
of
from Film.
Monsters. Yeah, famous monsters used to have them.
Okay.
Maybe
Very
a little
cool.
5 or 10 minute clips from the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
What an episode.
Jay Bart,
How did we end up talking about Richie Cunningham? Oh, I remember now. Never mind. Never mind.
I do.
I think it was a tagline to another Corman movie or something.
I don't.
Sorry.
I
I don't want to relive it.
it was, 5 degrees of Richie Cunningham, basically.
Glad you guys enjoyed it.
That was funny.
Next up will be a film released between 1920 and 1969, chosen by Chad. You don't remember, do you?
Yeah, I do remember.
Okay.
Beware the word lack. We're going to do the Black Sabbath with Boris Karloff.
Another
Awesome.
Mario Bava anthology from 1963. Awesome. So check that out. We'll be back in 2 weeks to take care of that. I'm looking forward to that. We've done, I think, a classic era. Isn't Black Sunday the only Bava? No, we did Blood and Black Lace too.
On classic.
Oh, and
era?
Planet of the Vampires. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did more than I thought. All right. Well, stay in touch. Everybody, please subscribe to the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. Do the likes. Make comments. Please make comments. See, we like to read comments. And talk about them. Thanks to everybody who made all of these comments. We really appreciate it. Or you can also listen to us on your friendly neighborhood podcast app.
Yeah. Now with
And-
more burping.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, not sorry.
Send your comments.
We should
and feedback.
we're going to rename it DOH, the gassy era.
I'm cool with it.
And Chad, we're working on it to get Chad to do the, when the alerts go off on your phone, it's Chad going, classic era. Classic era.
I want that so much.
I
Please.
do.
Well, let's do it.
I'm sure it's pretty easy to create the sound file and let somebody download it, I have to talk to Doc about that. So yeah, you can also send emails to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com. Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic era, as only decades of horror can do it.
I'm going to eat a lot of broccoli before the next.
Same.
We got this, Whitney.
Yes.
Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.